So I'm going to turn on my camera so that people can maybe see me. Good evening. My name is Karen McNeil. I'm the Director of Yarmouth Community Services, and we're very happy to have a small group here in attendance with us and about a half a dozen online joining us. We have invited Good Group Decisions led by Craig Freshley, and facilitated with Megan Smith here to help this conversation move on. You don't need to hear from me tonight. So Sean, I'm going to log off and pass everything right over to the team here. Craig, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Karen. Everybody can hear me okay? I'm using the microphone for two purposes. 17 purposes. One of my laptops is that one's muted. There's no sound. Okay, now Sean's going to go turn it up again. We thought we were so ready. How does that sound? Now there's only one of me. I'm not reverberating through the room. Okay. And I know it's a little silly to use a mic in a small space like this, but we want to make sure that people at home can hear us. We have people participating remotely, so we're going to use the mics, and I'm going to ask you to also to use a mic whenever you want to speak up in this meeting. So as Karen said, my name is Craig Freshley. Our company is called Good Group Decisions. Meg and I are both here to help you have a conversation. This is about the town listening to your opinions. And you know the purpose of this meeting. We want to talk about the winter holiday celebration. The town wants to have a celebration that creates memories, that feels special, that builds on traditions, but at the same time doesn't want anybody to feel left out. We don't want the town to be participating in an event or a celebration that offends anyone. And they're struggling to find a balance. What is the appropriate celebration that is supported by the town that's going to meet as many interests as possible? Before they make that decision, before they even start planning for the winter celebration, they want to have a discussion in May when the sun's out, and that's why we're here. We're basically going to roll through three questions this evening. We're going to ask, first of all, why are we having a winter celebration? What's the purpose? Hopefully, if we can start with why are we doing this, the other two questions will come more easily. Question number two is, what could a celebration look like? It could be like it's been in the past, but it could also be different. We want your ideas on what types of elements the celebration might include. Where should it be? What sort of activities? Even when should it be? You know, how proximate should it be to Christmas or Hanukkah or some other holiday? And then thirdly, what's the town's role? Because the town doesn't, as a government, doesn't have to do the whole thing, doesn't have to pay for the whole thing. It doesn't have to be on town property. The role, regardless of what the celebration is, can be limited or different. So we only have an hour and a half. We're going to roll through these three questions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it's going to work. I'm going to put some ground rules, I call them guidelines, up here on the screen. We want folks to raise a hand. Folks who are participating remotely, raise a hand. Megan is your concierge this evening. Those of you who are online, she is watching out for your hands, and she's going to raise a hand in the room if someone remote wants to speak. You can also, at times during the meeting, give your ideas in writing. Okay, in just a minute, I'm going to ask you what you think the purpose should be of a celebration. And notice how I've passed out pieces of paper and markers. And I'm actually going to ask you to write your ideas for the purposes. And we're going to stick them up here on this wall. And the fun thing about this wall is we can move things around. We can organize them. and we're going to make a little collage here in front of our very eyes, reflecting your thinking about what the purpose of a celebration should be. And folks participating from home, we're going to ask you to write your ideas for what the purpose should be in the chat. Megan will pick those up and she'll write them on pieces of paper, so we'll get your data on the wall too. You can also comment in writing after this meeting. At the end of the meeting, I'm going to give you a link to a survey. It's basically the same 3 questions. That survey is open for the next 2 weeks. We're broadcasting all around town that the survey is available, so you can give input in that way also. The first time you speak, please tell us your name and where you live. And folks who are participating remotely, if you want to speak in the meeting, we also ask that you give your name and tell us where you live. Over there on the right, it says, try to understand. We're trying to understand each other. You know, that's why we didn't just do a survey. If we wanted just one-way input from each of you as individuals, we could have just had a written survey. But we want to talk about this, and we want to give a chance for you to ask questions of your neighbors and try to understand where each other is coming from. I want to hear different opinions. We have different views about this. This is a precious opportunity to share those opinions, try to understand how something could be offensive to somebody else, or where they're coming from, why they believe what they want to believe. No decisions tonight. This is simply gathering information for the town to make a final decision. Megan and I are taking notes as we go. I'm going to show some notes on the screen, maybe from time to time. We'll certainly do a write-up later of themes and conclusions. And I just want you to know that we are very much in a neutral posture. I don't want to say I don't care what you decide, but I kind of, for the purposes of this meeting, I don't care what you decide. I don't have a view on that. I want you to make a good decision for the town of Yarmouth, and it's not my place to influence that in any way or have an opinion. So that's how we're going to run the meeting, and I say we get ourselves off and running. First question, what should be the purpose of our winter holiday celebration? Let's consider why are we doing this in the first place? What do we hope to achieve with such a celebration? And I am literally going to stop talking. We're going to have some quiet time, and I'm going to ask you to write your ideas on these pieces of paper. Everybody get a couple pieces of paper and a marker, and I would like you to write maybe 2 or 3 ideas for what should be the core purpose of such a celebration, and a separate idea on a separate piece of paper. If you have 3 ideas as to what the purpose should be, you're going to write 3 pieces of paper. If you think that there should just be one purpose for such a celebration, you're going to just write it on one piece of paper. And you're going to write a headline, right? You can't write a whole essay on this little piece of paper with a marker. So just the sort of the nugget of your idea, the paraphrase, the headline. And those participating from home, drop your ideas into the chat. Again, a separate idea for every separate chat, and try to keep them brief. We're talking like 5 to 7 words for each idea. Some of you have started writing already. Does anybody have any questions about what I'm asking you to do? Okay, let's just take a moment of quiet time and write some ideas. What should be the purpose of our winter holiday celebration? Yes, you can hand an idea to me. One idea. What should be the purpose of the holiday celebration? Anyone? Here's one. This one says, to celebrate something, the winter season. Okay, let's have another idea. This one says, town traditions, build community, sense of belonging. What else we got? To spread joy during the dark part of the year. Why else are we doing this? We're going to get them all up there sooner or later. To learn about cultures around the world and through history. Why else would we do a celebration? Celebration should strive to let people enjoy the winter season. I'm going to go to the back. Oh, we have some over here. Look at this. The people at home have been working on it. Let me take all these at once. Celebrate different cultural traditions. That is kind of related to that one. Find common ground in kindness and generosity. Express peace and joy as a community. Next, to build community and sense of belonging. Multi-generational, accessible to all. Bring the community together. Generate warmth and companionship. An opportunity to gather and have fun during the winter months. This one talks about during the dark. I'm going to back table here. What do we have? Oh, here we have some. This one says enhance community engagement. Promote Yarmouth as a diverse community. Celebrate the season. Hold on, I'll be back in a moment. Who wrote celebrate the season? Would you mind telling us your name, where you live? You said something about the season. What do you mean when you say the season? What does that mean?
It probably should go up there with the dark.
The winter. Okay. You weren't thinking of Christmas or Hanukkah or anything. You were thinking of dark. Okay. It's okay if you were thinking of a religious season, but I just wanted to check. So it goes up here with dark. That's the season. It's the winter. Yeah. Promote Yarmouth as a diverse. So here's multi-generational. That's diversity. We don't know what that person means. Here's enhance community engagement. You want to come together as a community. Encourage buying local holiday gifts, right? Support your local merchants. That's building a strong community. Others. And you know what? You're allowed to bring them up yourselves. If you have a piece of paper, you can see my themes here. This is about commerce. This is about common ground, kindness and generosity. This is about joy. This big cluster here is community. This is the winter. This is the winter season. Actually, both of these are about the winter, celebrating winter. Ooh, the holidays. I'm going to ask about that one. Bring them on up. Do you have ones, Megan? Let's take them up. Yeah, bring them right on up, folks. Stick them on the wall. If you don't know where they should go, just put them aside, and I'll find a place for them. Focus on families and kids. Have fun. Build community. That goes right here. Create positive memories for kids. Let's do a kids one here. Where was kids? There was another kid. Oh, yeah. Kids, thank you. This is about the dark. Maintain traditions. Oh, I'd like to put this one over here. Town traditions. Yeah, okay. Inclusivity, okay. Feel joy together. Bring community ties, bringing people together. Light up the dark days, nice. Common ground, generosity, lights. Oh, wow, okay. This is great. Enjoying music, yup. I'm just going to say connection. We're going to put it. Oh, he got the spot. You put it right there. Right. Getting to know our neighbors. Entertaining evening. Right, got it. Super. Oh, thanks for doing this with me. This is really great. We're making this thing together. Getting to know our neighbors. Create, develop community. and community. Okay, Megan, how are you doing? Do you have more over there? We got them all from remote. Okay, let me just spend a second organizing these, and then we will take another look. Okay, thanks for your patience. And we're going to write this up for you, but this is pretty interesting the way this has come about. Traditions. Support, for nonprofits. Okay. Entrepreneurship. Okay, and this one says hot chocolate. This stands all by itself. Okay, that's like okay, let me explain to you how I organized this. So did it quick and dirty, of course, but I think that this is pretty telling and gives us something to talk about. The biggest cluster is this one right here. And by the way, a cluster is defined as they're touching each other, right? If the papers are touching each other, they're related. And these are all about sense of community, bringing the community together and feeling a part of a community. Building community ties, bringing people together in winter, connect and build community, sense of belonging, express peace, joy as community, build community, connection, form and bring community together, joy together, community, companionship, enhance community engagement, strong community is in like almost every one of these, the word community. That's why I put all those together. These are about the winter and like celebrating the dark. It's a special time of year, you know? Maybe this is what we want to do and this is why we do it at a certain time of year. Lights on a dark and cold winter evening. Light up the dark days and nights. Lights in the short time of daylight. Spread joy during the dark. An opportunity to gather, have fun during the winter months. Celebrate the season. He told us the winter season. Something in the winter season. Something in the winter season. These are about winter and the darkness. These are about just having fun and entertainment, music, singing, create a reason to gather. Maybe that would be community, but kindness, generosity. These are about kids. 3 of you specifically mentioned youth or kids. Create positive memories for kids. Focus on families and fun for kids. Positive memories for youth. These are about supporting local organizations. Buy local gifts. Encourage creativity and entrepreneurship. Support nonprofits. These 3 are about diversity. This one says inclusivity, not necessarily the same as not offending a person. I might ask that person to explain in a second here. Learn about cultures around the world and through history celebrate different cultural traditions. A few of you think that should be a purpose. These, I think, are also related to diversity and inclusivity. Let's just see. Bring people together, multi-generational, accessible to all. Promote Yarmouth as a diverse community. Include everyone. Build community, have fun. Celebrate diversity. So I am going to call this the diversity inclusivity cluster. This one, these are about traditions, celebrate the holidays. I might ask, what holidays? What are we thinking of when we say the holidays? Maintain traditions, celebrate the holiday season, celebrate your holiday and others, celebrate and share traditions and customs. And I kind of want to start here and ask, what do people mean by holidays? Because I'm just going to be a little bold and point out here, nobody wrote anything about a particular religion. Nobody said, for instance, to celebrate the birth of Christ or any other religion. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, we have one coming in. This one, it says it. Celebrate Christmas. Somebody wrote Christmas. Okay. Because of the majority in the community. And I'm wondering if some of you who wrote holidays or traditions, what are you thinking of? Should it be Christian in some way? Let's get at this issue. Tell us your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Betsy Rainsborough. I live on Portland Street, or do you want my actual specific address? I live on Portland Street. I grew up on East Elm Street. I grew up going to the Christmas tree lighting every year, and I don't miss it at all. I think the switch to the solstice is amazing. It's awesome. I have loved going the last 2 years, and I think it is better for our community because you're already out doing stuff that weekend. If you want to go to Christmas fairs, if you want to go to other tree lightings, go to Beans, go to Portland. Like, this is a cool new thing that just our community does. And I remember when my daughter was 1, and she was 1, so it took us forever to leave the house, and we were 5 minutes late, and we missed the entire Christmas tree lighting. But now you can go and be there for an hour and meet friends and make s'mores. And it's so much more of an event. It feels really cozy. It makes me think that I'm at like the climax of a Hallmark movie and like someone's going to propose, and like it's just wonderful. And I wanted to come out and say that like I really appreciate the change that community service has made, and keep up the good work.
Okay. So for you, you're not looking for a religious or Christmas element. Yeah? Okay. And you like that it's on the solstice. Other thoughts about the extent to which it should celebrate a particular holiday or a particular religion? Did any of you mean that when you wrote traditions or holidays? Were you thinking of Christmas or? Please.
I think that particular time of the year has a lot of holidays that are related, and so Christmas is just one. And I also will hear the argument that some of those holidays exist because they are counterpoint to Christmas, but they exist at that time. So there's Diwali, there's Kwanzaa, there's Hanukkah, there's Christmas, and there's just a lot of reasons to celebrate a variety of holidays if that's the direction one chooses to go, including the solstice as a holiday. So there, I'll set it
thanks.
off.
And your name and
Oh,
what?
sorry, I'm Jessica, and I live on South Street.
Okay, thanks, Jessica. Someone else want to weigh in here. Please tell us your name and what street you live on and what you think.
My name is Jen Reich, and I live on Oakwood. And I will start out by saying that I'm Jewish, and I did not like the switch. So let me explain that. I grew up in New York, in New York City. So we had Christmas trees, we had menorahs. We didn't so much have Kwanzaa back then, but now we do. We had big Christmas tree lightings with big menorah lightings as well. I followed all the hubbub on Facebook when you made the switch, and I feel like I'm being in a slightly unique position. People often speak for minorities, and I'm identifying as being a minority in this community as a Jewish person. But I wonder if we asked the Jewish people how they felt.
Well, how do you feel?
Or
Tell
the
us.
people that celebrate other holidays. And that is why I wanted to come here, because I wanted to say, we don't need to not have a Christmas tree. We can also have a menorah. Brunswick, for example, has a Christmas tree on their mall as well as a menorah, which they light on Hanukkah, which is not always at Christmas time.
Right.
I feel like what happened last year, I understand the intent was inclusivity, but it actually felt like the opposite, because it felt to me like just because people don't celebrate Christmas doesn't mean, just because we're not trying to include the people that don't celebrate Christmas doesn't have to mean we shut everything down.
Right.
If that makes sense. So I just felt like it was important to be like, hi, let's ask the people that don't celebrate Christmas how
Right,
they feel
right.
instead of speaking for them. And I'm not
Thank you.
saying that that's what happened last year, but I just wanted to be that voice. Like, you know, I say this jokingly, I hope I don't offend, but like, ask a Jew, I'm here. What would you
I
like to
would
know?
like to ask you. I would like to ask you another question. So, it's great that you came and you're speaking from your perspective. And if I can just recap a little bit, you're okay with a Christmas tree. You'd like there to also be a menorah, and maybe you didn't say this, but I'm imagining symbolism for other religions would not bother you. Those things don't need to be taken away, and it's good if they're added, to be very simplistic. Here's my question, though. What about a Christmas tree is one thing, but what about Christmas carols that are specifically religious, right? There's a lot of carols about the birth of the baby Jesus and the Virgin Mary. And are you okay with those things? Or tell us your view on
Yeah, that's interesting putting on the spot here, but
and if you don't want to answer, you don't have
I mean,
to.
growing
I'm
up
serious about
again,
that.
where I grew up, and we would have our winter concerts, and obviously this was back. You know, this was a long time ago. Like, we don't have to say our age. Let's just say 70s and 80s. So it was before a lot of changes that we have, you know, good progressive changes that we have made. But we would have Christmas songs in our concerts at elementary school.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
But we would also have Hanukkah songs.
Okay.
And everyone sang the Christmas songs and everyone sang the Hanukkah songs. And if you weren't okay or you weren't, and to be fair, they weren't like, I'm trying to think of a Christmas carol that's overtly religious. They weren't those, but you might sing Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Okay.
But you didn't have to if you didn't feel comfortable. But my point is there were both. And
There were
when I
both.
say
That's-
both, I realize I'm excluding other holidays. But back then, it was primarily Christmas and Hanukkah, so I'm not trying to open up a can of worms and offend.
Right.
But it was both. It doesn't mean you have to shut everything down.
Right. Very, very helpful. Thank you for answering that second question about the hymns. Let's hear some other views on this. Just tell us your name and the street you live on.
Sure. I'm Miriam Markowitz. I live on West Main. And so I am also Jewish, though I grew up here and not in New York City, which is very different. Usually there were 3 Jewish kids in a school, and those were myself and my brothers. And so you would have a token Hanukkah song amongst all the songs about baby Jesus. And you would have this teeny tiny menorah that would fit miraculously in a corner amongst all of the trees and snow, you know, and Hanukkah doesn't fall around Christmas most of the time. I mean, sometimes it does, most of the time it doesn't. And so raising children in a Jewish household, my son is so sad that he doesn't celebrate Christmas when it's plastered all over. And so I kind of agree with Betsy. Like, we're surrounded by it all winter long. And I think it's fine. Like, we go and we see the LL Bean display. He doesn't go and sit on Santa's lap, but he'll point out Santa, and that's fine. And we go to friends' houses that do celebrate Christmas, so he gets that exposure. But I mean, it's kind of cool that the town does something different. And I mean, we're a progressive community, and we really can come together as a community and have hot chocolate and maybe hot toddies too. And we don't have to talk about baby Jesus. I mean, we have these huge churches on Main Street, and I don't even know what religion most of them are, but if you're interested in doing something religious, like, I know that you have a place. They're very large. And, for the winter solstice, it's a time about celebrating the darkness. And, there are so many interesting traditions that go along with that. And, we used to have a librarian who was Miss Mary, sang at the library, and she never did religious songs. She sang like John Denver, and it was wonderful, and all the parents loved it.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that there's more that we can do that moves beyond Christmas. in a very Christmas society that we live in.
Great. Thanks for weighing in. I'd love to hear other points of view. If you want to speak up on this point, I guess I would name the theme of this part of our discussion. To what extent should Christmas be part of a celebration and or other religious symbolism as part of the winter holiday celebration? Start off with your name and your street.
I'm Sarah Ferguson. I live on Seabourn Drive. And I think I just like to put onto the table for discussion the idea of any religious faith being celebrated by a government body, a publicly funded body. So I think that it would be worth exploring the idea of this being a non-denominational, non-religious event simply because there should be a separation
Right.
of church and state. So I think for YCS as an institution to be organizing a religious event just feels in conflict with me with how we should be using
Right.
a town
So
service.
can I ask you a follow-up question or two? And if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Anybody can answer. If the town were to support a Christmas tree, is that a religious symbol in your mind? Would that be the town crossing the church-state line?
I think you could make the case that like gold lights are representative of many holidays. So perhaps you could draw some connection to just like lights being of the season.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm thinking off the top of my
tree,
head.
right? No, I asked a hard question. Tree with lights,
Maybe,
maybe okay.
But I
How about
think that
Santa Claus?
yeah, Santa Claus is distinctly connected to Christmas. So I would say no. But I would say that there's a lot of other towns that have, if it's important to the town of Yarmouth to have, you know, Christmas decorations or seasonal decorations,
Seasonal
there's
decoration.
other ways in which those could be sponsored. It
Mhm.
feels like,
Right.
you know, as Miriam just said, there's many churches, there's
Right.
other religious
Right.
organizations, there's
If somebody else wants to have a Santa Claus, go for it.
Yeah,
But
more power to
your
them.
point is the town should not be supporting symbolism of a particular religion. You're coming down pretty strong. Thanks for sharing that view. Let's hear some other views on this, please.
Again, my name's Bob Masciarelli. I live in Spring Street, and I've been involved with government on both the state and the federal level for quite some time. And I just want to point out that, you know, we would never use the term Christmas tree. I mean, we always use the term holiday tree. But it is something that you're going to see on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. You're going to see it at the White House. In 2022, every state either had a holiday tree in their state house or in the governor's residence. So, and that was one of the things I did as a job, was track those statistics. So I just kind of wanted to point that out because I don't, you know, associate a holiday tree with a specific religion. And
Okay.
I just thought
That's
I'd say
one way
that.
to think about it. I want to come back to you in a second. Hold on, and I'll come back to you in a second. But let me ask if there's anybody that hasn't yet spoken. We really want to make room for all the points of view. If you haven't spoken up and you'd like to give a point of view, also, if you have a question for somebody who's already spoken, we want to hear that. Yes, please.
I actually like the notion of 4 different times to celebrate. One at the solstice, one at the spring and fall equinox, and one in the middle of the first of summer. And so I guess I would try to pull us away from, to me that pulls it a little bit more away from a specific religious focus, and instead celebrating the various seasons. And in some ways the folks in the town could potentially organize activities related to those things. And that might produce a year-round celebration.
Yeah, right. It would make it kind of year-round, and those celebrations would be detached from religious symbolism. Okay. Thank you.
Gibb Parish, Sligo Road.
Let me just do one more call for any new voices. Oh, we do have some. Do you mind? Because we already heard from you. Is that right? Let's hear your opinion then, because you've been waiting very carefully, and I don't want to look you over. So please.
Thank you. I did say that you asked the question, what are the holidays?
Yeah,
and
what
I
does that
pointed
mean?
out that there were many. I personally sit slightly agnostic, and that was an intentional word, as to whether or not our celebration should encompass religion. I do feel pretty strongly if it does encompass religion, it should encompass as many religions and cultures as possible. But I also would be quite happy to just have a holiday that celebrates winter, Maine, light, community, and those sorts of things. And my one concern about the winter solstice is that it is so late in December. It's usually the last week of school, and life is crazy, and it's hard to reschedule when we had bad weather, which has happened. Whereas a slightly earlier celebration, as was done in the past when we did a Christmas tree lighting, there was some time to sort of reschedule. And so I would say, so and right now, by the way, I apologize because I feel like I'm jumping ahead. I was also trying to bite my tongue because
Well,
you were going
we're
to ask these
jumping
questions
around.
later
Yeah.
about what it should
Yeah.
look like and who. So just putting that out there, that there's like looking at the time as to when we're scheduling and how that happens. But then my other question, back to the Christmas tree thing, this is under what should the town's role be. So I'll throw this out. We can talk about it later. If another organization, which currently I believe it's been the Lions that puts on the Santa in the booth, but they do it on town property, how does that go over and how does that feel to people? Personally, if the Lions want to put Santa out on the town common, like that doesn't offend me because that's not the town. Now, I don't know exactly how it works. I just know it's the Lions that do it. So anyway, I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Thanks for speaking up. And we have somebody. Do they want to go off mute and speak for themselves? Yeah, Julia. Thanks for your patience. We wanna hear from you.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Good, awesome. So my name is Julia Balin. I live on Hillside Street, right before you turn left to go to the back entrance of the middle school. If you've ever driven by my house in December, I have a 7-foot blue Star of David on my porch. We are a Jewish family. There are many interfaith families that celebrate both holidays, and we are not one of those families. We do not celebrate Christmas in any capacity. I have 3 children, including a little baby, a first grader, and a 4th grader. And one distinction, I've heard varying themes of this in the conversations and comments that people have made, is, a lot of people say like holidays are for kids. And so I always try to look at this topic through the eyes of my children and how they feel and what it means to them. Because as an adult, I can have strong feelings, but I'm adult and I can parse them and try to make sense of them. But kids have a harder time doing that, particularly when they're so different from other kids. The distinction I would make is for my children, there is being othered and there's being left out. And that representation versus being left out. So I'll give you an example of left out. We don't do Santa. And so it's been a hard conversation, but we explained to them that Santa is something other kids do, and we don't do that yet. We have all these beautiful Jewish holidays that we celebrate, and over time, they've come to accept and understand that, and they're okay with it. They sometimes feel sad. It's hard to talk about, especially with their friends, all the excitement around Santa, but it's my responsibility as a Jewish parent to build the same level of excitement around Jewish holidays. And we go big for Hanukkah, we go big for other Jewish holidays. The other issue is about representation and the othering that comes with that. And that's really where, if we're going to do something Christmassy, I cannot describe to you the difference it makes for my children to see a menorah when we are driving through the city of Portland, or I show it to them in Washington, D.C., or wherever it's happening. So that representation that they are not They haven't been forgotten or erased or othered. And I will give credit to the Yarmouth School District. Every single year since they were little tiny people, I have asked Rose School and YES if I can come in and do a show and tell about Hanukkah, about Rosh Hashanah, about our other holidays. And I am met only with excitement for the educational opportunity, which also positively impacts the other children. So whether my perspective is, yes, we have a Christmas tree or not, that's okay, as long as there is also representation for them. The Santa thing, personally, I find it annoying because it makes it harder for me to parent. But on the other hand, it's my job to tell them that that doesn't belong to them. And that's all I'll share. Thank you.
All right, thanks for speaking up, Julia. It's very helpful. If somebody would like to make a comment or ask a question of Julia or anybody else that's spoken, this is a chance for us to talk and ask questions and understand each other. Please.
I'm Karen. I'm on Ryder Road. I'm also a transplant from New York City. I don't know the accent. And Jewish. So I guess one more Jewish perspective, and it's going to be slightly different than everyone else's. And I think that's important to note, is that people can come from other religions and not have the same experience. So I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish community where, like Julia was saying, my parents were trying very hard to make us not feel overwhelmed by Christmas in New York City when that wasn't our holiday. So I don't mind there being a tree that's all lit up. I would like it better if there's also, like Julia mentioned, other holiday representations. What I would not feel comfortable with personally is being invited to an event that is about lighting that tree. Because even if you call it a holiday tree, once we're going to a tree lighting, to me it says Christmas. And if it's advertised as come to a community event, a Yarmouth event, where we are going to light a tree and Santa Claus will be there, you have just told me that I am not welcome, that I do not belong. That's my reaction based on how I grew up.
Thanks for sharing that perspective. This is what we need to hear. Are there other perspectives that have not yet been shared that you'd like to share with us, please?
Hi, my name is Lynn Hallett. I live on Greeley Road in Yarmouth, not Cumberland. I'm very struck by this conversation, and I think it's fabulous to have this group here and online. I'm a transplant from New York City and San Juan, Puerto Rico. I grew up in the 60s, and my school was populated with families from all over the world and all kinds of traditions. And we celebrated the beauty of all of those traditions. I went with my Jewish friends to temple. They came with me to church. We visited the Three Kings displays. We visited the menorahs. There were other traditions as well, but it was a celebration of the beauty of all of those traditions. And so listening to everyone speak tonight, I really appreciate all of everyone's words. And I think that on the one hand, yes, this is about lights and winter and community. On the other hand, there is a holiday season. It is a tradition of holidays, and they're beautiful. So is there a way to pick up on the beauty, some of the music, some of the lights, some of the symbolism, and have our children appreciate all of that and not feel excluded because they love their tradition and it's being celebrated by everyone else? And how proud am I that my neighbor down the street now knows what a menorah looks like. So I guess I'm just voicing my thoughts, based on what I'm hearing. And I really applaud everyone for having this conversation. It's so important. Thank you.
Thanks for speaking up. At some risk, I'm going to share with you what I'm calling an emerging theme, if it's not too bold to name such a theme. But we are actually past time in this part of the agenda where we've explored the purpose a little bit. I want to ask you a question, and then we'll move on. But let me share with you this emerging themes. You can see this in the room and at home. And it seems to me that the gist of what we've heard And I want your critique of this, your pushback, your clarifications. But if the town is going to support any religious symbolism, it should include symbolism from all religions. We heard a number of people say that in different ways. The town is on solid ground, the whole separation of church and state thing, if it supports no religious symbolism at all. The town would be beyond reproach if it did not support, I've given some examples, 2 that I've heard named here. Christmas tree and lighting it. Now we heard one person, I think a Jewish person, say they're okay maybe with a tree being lit with gold lights. But we heard a propensity of comments, I think, that a Christmas tree is a religious symbol, and Santa Claus. Those are examples of religious symbols. If the town wanted to stay clear of religious symbols, it should not be supporting those types of things. There seems to be considerable favor for a town-supported celebration of the natural seasons, the winter season, the darkness, with symbols such as snow and light and maybe an evergreen tree called a holiday tree, but a tree of the season, not symbolizing Christmas. And if one wants religious symbolism, it's available in many other places and in other ways, apart from town support. But you tell me, did I get this right? Is this a fair representation of our conversation so far? Is there anybody that takes issue with anything I've written up here? Let me ask this question. These are what you said were the purposes. Can we achieve all of these purposes in a town-supported celebration without any religious symbolism? You say yes. You say yes. That's right. These things about tradition and holiday. Let me be a little provocative here. Can we create new traditions for the town? It's going to take a while, though, right? You know? Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. Hold on.
I think part of what people are so afraid of is change. A tradition is something that happens all the time that we're used to, and change is hard. I think it can be I think it can be and. I don't think it has to be or. Like, we can build on the traditions that we've had that people got very upset that we changed. We can keep those, but add to talk about some of this inclusivity that we've been talking about. I don't think it has to be so black and white. And can I just say one more thing about the holiday tree term? And I'm speaking for me as a Jew, not for anyone else as a Jew, but actually the term holiday tree is more insensitive and offensive to me because it is a Christmas tree. You can put whatever color lights on it you want. But growing up, we used to try to convince my parents, could we have a Hanukkah tree? And the answer was firmly no. It is a Christmas tree. If you call it a holiday tree, that actually offends me more.
Why does it offend you to hear the term?
It's a Christmas tree. I'm okay with the Christmas tree. But if you call it a holiday tree, that feels like, well, we're just trying to throw you some sort of a bone. I don't know how to articulate myself.
Doesn't feel genuine.
It just feels like, come on, it's a Christmas tree. And we can be okay or not okay with a Christmas tree, but let's call it what it is.
Right. But if there are people in town, and I've heard that there are people in this room who are not okay with a Christmas tree, is that a good enough reason for the town to move off of the Christmas tree idea and not, leave that to others? The Christmas tree lighting should not be supported by the town because there are people in town who find that difficult. That's what I'm probing a little bit here. You're going to help me.
I think it's only a piece of the discussion. So if you're going to ask that question, then I'm going to open the discussion to say that there is a huge environmental impact of the Christmas tree, especially that big, huge tree that we brought in every year. That is like a 100-year-old tree. And sorry, we're running low on those in this state, much less this country. And there's also an economic impact of that. It's a very expensive tree. And I know that in the past it has been donated, and that was a really great thing. So once you start to look at the environmental impact and the economic impact, that is why I do not support the Christmas tree and the tradition that we have had in the past, or that great big huge tree that we had in the past. I do support other lights and other decorations, but if you're talking specifically about the tree we have had in the past, that's why I would say no.
Right. Okay. Thanks for speaking up. I'm going to come over there in a second, and we're going to take a hand from home. But we haven't heard from you, sir. Tell us your name.
My name is Peter McNaughton, and I'm on Pleasant Street and have been there for a while. I don't think there's a shortage of trees in the state of Maine. I'm pretty certain of that. And I think that when a lot of people do look at a Christmas tree, I think it's only symbolic of the tradition itself and everything that's involved with the tradition. And I see it up there on the board, and it's been a tradition of Maine and everywhere else in the country for a long, long time. I think that there's room for other celebrations too, but just to tear down the Christmas tradition and everything that evolves around it is a shame. And if somebody feels like if they get invited to a Christmas party and they don't want to go, then just don't go. But don't try
Do
to
away
keep
with that
people
tradition.
from
Right.
celebrating Christmas.
I'm going to ask you a hard question or two, though, Peter. What do you say to the person who would feel left out? I mean, it's easy for you to
That's
say,
too bad. I think
just
people
don't
get
go.
left out of things every day.
People are left out all the time.
I think
and
it's part of life. And if
I
you
see.
if you come into a town where they've had a tradition for years and you don't like it, then don't go. And if all of a sudden people quit attending it, then maybe you take it off. You put it on the chopping block. But just because it offends you because you don't feel included, well, maybe you should try to
Right.
you should work through that yourself, and maybe you should go there, and you might have a good time because everybody there seems to be enjoying themselves, and it's a great way for people to get together. I was pretty disappointed last year when I heard that tradition was getting swept
Right.
under the rug.
Right.
And-
Let me ask
and-
you one more. Oh, I really
Go ahead.
appreciate you're doing great. You're telling us how you feel, and it's an important perspective.
And I would also say that, I don't think that people look at, I think that people look at Christmas in a lot of different ways. And I think it's safe to say that most people don't look at it from a religious perspective. I think that people look at the Christmas holiday as people getting together.
Right.
And
Right.
celebrating, and being around people that you love. And,
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you one more hard question, if I can. You don't have to answer it, but you're making the case that if you don't like the Christmas holiday, don't go, or learn to love it. It's not for you, and you think for most people it's not a particularly religious thing. But we've also heard that for some people it actually is a religious thing, and they feel uncomfortable going. So, if I were to take a hard line with the church and state thing and say, well, the town really has no business doing a Christmas tree. If you want a Christmas tree, Peter, go to a church or go to some other place that has one. Why is it so important to you that the town do a Christmas tree? Mightn't it be okay for somebody else to do a Christmas tree, and you could go find all the stuff that you find in a Christmas tree ceremony someplace other than the town? How would that work for you?
Well, I think that it's something that they've done for so long. I think we took it for granted. I think a lot of things have changed here lately, but it's a tradition that I always enjoyed. I don't see anything that was negative about it when the people went and gathered. I thought that everybody was having a good time.
Okay.
I'm surprised that it's under attack like it is.
Right. Okay. Thanks for speaking up. It's really helpful to hear that perspective. We've got somebody here at home, or we got two people. Let's hear them. I'm going to take away my screen share, and we're going to ask whoever's from home. Have you designated who's going to go first? Okay. Who is it? Sarah. Okay, Sarah. Let's hear what you have to say.
Hi, Sarah Whitty. I live on Cumberland Street. Am I in?
Yes, you are. We can hear you and we can see you. Thanks for speaking up.
Okay, great. I am fine leaving out Christmas trees and other overtly Christian or religious symbolism, although I would note that Christmas trees were originally a pagan, or the green tree was originally a pagan symbol. Same thing with wreaths. That's neither here nor there, but I think to those who celebrate Christmas and to those who feel, left out or othered by the celebrations of Christmas, I'm fine leaving it right out. I want to say what I treasure the most are the lighting of things. I mean, I think it got us through the dark winter, for example, 2020, the first winter of the pandemic shutdown. More people put up lights and left their lights up through the winter. And it just made a big, big difference to our morale and our sense of hope. So I would like the town and other organizations, churches, et cetera, to do, or I love that we had, for example, a map of places you could go to look at all the lights. So I think lights are universally appreciated, different colors, different shapes, different styles. That feels to me like a universal language, kind of the way if you go to somebody and you don't speak their language, or you see children, they can laugh, they can play soccer, we can make art together, we can play instruments together, we can enjoy lights together. So to me, that feels like a universal. I hope there's anybody who hates lights. I don't know, I haven't heard that. But to me, lighting up the winter nights feels like a symbol of love, hope, kindness, joy, and it kind of brings us together. That's what I wanted to add to the mix here.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. And we have another Sarah who wants to speak up. No. Okay. Very good. Let me ask you this. In light of the things that we've heard, let's take these two questions together. What sorts of activities do you think that, and maybe I'm asking you not even from a personal perspective, but what would serve the town well? What would best serve the town if there were what types of activities, and if the town played what type of role? That's what I'm asking.
So this actually goes into what I was going to say, and I appreciate what Peter said, only because I think that what people the idea of tradition is something to look forward to, and I don't, and we've been here for a while, and we're right in town, and so you kind of hear the chatter amongst the kids and what's going on, and before moving to Yarmouth, I grew up in Cape. I didn't realize how big Clam Fest was here, because we would come in and, spend a day here in the chaos. But actually living here, it's just like this insanity. And I say that because I feel like something in the winter, I would want something that's like that. And not for the whole, state of Maine and the thousands and thousands of people that come here, but I mean, I would love to have a tradition where I hear kids talking about it and excited to go to see something, because I mean, I was never really that excited to go to temple growing up, and I want my kids to be like really excited for whatever festival we do.
What could it be?
And
What could it be?
I don't know. And the idea of our town lighting up with, with these bright lights. I love that idea. And I don't know if we need a tree for that. Like I see other towns that are lit up, and Yarmouth is not one of them. Like we don't put holiday lights in the street. We don't need wreaths, but we could still put up lights, and they don't have to be religious or religiously affiliated. They can just be lights. And I just have this, I just have this image of somebody like switching on a light and the town just, becoming so bright that it becomes a place where people drive through and they're like, wow, this is pretty cool.
And we're also selling hot chocolate and have activities for kids.
Yeah,
and
just like Clam Fest, the town really turns into a different place. And I just think that would be so neat for Yarmouth to become a different place during the winter.
Other ideas we're taking. What could a festival look like that would meet all of these purposes on the wall? We haven't heard from you, so thanks for speaking up.
My name's Krista Cole. I actually own Gather, a restaurant across the street, and thank you for allowing me to come and sit in on this. I think that like a winter market could be fun. We could have like winter scavenger hunt. I love the show and tell that someone was talking about. Maybe we could do show and tells with different, holidays that are also being celebrated. But I think when you look at the board, it's really like holiday is really a feeling, and it kind of ties into that winter season where it is cold and it is dark. And so, how do we celebrate the community? And I like your idea of how does Yarmouth look different, lights, obviously. But anyways, a couple ideas.
Great, thanks for speaking up. I'm looking for new voices, so we want to hear from you.
Heather. And can you hear me on this?
Yeah, Sean, you're managing the mics, right? Yep. Keep talking. He'll turn it up.
So I really love what Yarmouth Community Services has done. I think they've done a great job at encompassing all of this up on the board already. I think the problem is just change. Change is hard. And I've wrestled with the change of this as well. My birthday used to land on the tree lighting almost every year. And it was great. I had a birthday party and a tree lighting. Yeah. So my only idea would be to have the Festival of Lights and the winter celebration on my birthday. But I think it's great.
Well, now you have to tell us when your birthday is.
December 3rd. But change is hard. And when I hear from everyone in the room here, Jewish, Christian, I can't really allow myself to think that it's okay to have a tree lighting and a menorah lighting and not see that there are all other cultures and religions not being represented, that there are children not seeing themselves represented, that they're not seeing their version of a menorah, their version of a Christmas tree, and wondering, why am I not being represented? How do you represent every religion and have everyone feel represented when we can do something like celebrating winter, where everyone can be a part of that. Everyone can have hot chocolate and have fun and celebrate joy. And it's a new tradition, and new traditions can be hard for some that feel like they're letting go and they're not being the majority in the community represented. We're all being represented. We are all the majority of the community when we come together and celebrate together as one.
Okay, thanks for speaking up. Okay, and is it somebody new, I'm going to suspect? Let's hear from that, and then that person, and then we have a hand here, a hand here, a hand here, and a new voice at the back that we want to hear. We are planning to end this meeting at 7:30. Fortunately, we don't have to agree. We don't have to make a decision. That's going to be up to the town later. But we're doing a great job, and I love how respectful everybody is being of different views. It's really great. Who do we have on the... Carrie, you say? Yeah,
Hi.
Carrie.
Hi, yes. Hi, how's it going? I'm Carrie. I live on Church Street. I think that what I've identified for myself, and I wonder if maybe for some other people, is that I understand that there's a Christmas tree, and Jen, I totally hear you on everything you were saying there versus holiday tree. And I still call it a Christmas tree and we're not Christian. We're not anything. So I think for us as a family, and for a lot of my friends, a Christmas tree and Santa are, I guess I would say, kind of cultural. Like they're just, they are our winter traditions. We do celebrate December 25th and we call it Christmas, but it's about presents and family. And we go and visit our Jewish family in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And there's a menorah and we do that also. So I guess it's almost a little bit of the potential of letting go of a tradition that my family has, but it actually has nothing to do with Christianity for us. So anyway, I think that Peter alluded to that as well, that Christmas is sort of like a not really actually a religious thing for a lot of families.
Yeah, but it is an important tradition, and that's the
Yeah,
view
so
you're
that's
bringing.
what it is. It's the tradition of Santa, and I totally understand that Santa is connected with Christmas, and I know that Christmas is based in a Christian holiday, but I guess I think my kids know that Jesus's birthday is December 25th, but that's about all I got. And when Christmas carols happen, I know the ones that are about like, we wish you a Merry Christmas, but I don't know any of the ones that have the religious words. And I just kind of like hum along and
But
whatever.
okay, let me ask you a quick follow-up, if I may. Even though you've told us that you believe in, the Christmas tradition, that's a tradition for you, even though you're not Christian, how would it be for you if the town moved off of Christmas, I'm doing air quotes here, Christmas traditions, and made a celebration that was about lights, about snow, about the season? Would that be okay for you, or is that tradition so important that you want the town to hang on to it?
I can personally roll with anything. I think I'm just articulating a little bit of what I've read in previous years on Facebook from people who aren't here right now. And I wish we had some more of the older folks in town and more conservative folks in town here and speaking. So like I said, I will roll with whatever.
All right.
I mean, we have awesome memories from the town traditional holiday tree lighting, Christmas tree lighting, whatever we've called it in the past, for me and for my kids who are now in 9th and 7th grades and probably don't want to go downtown to celebrate anything right now. Right. They'd rather be with their friends.
Right.
But okay. I remember, can I just say, I remember the tree being lit. I remember Santa, cookies, hot cocoa. I wrote a list over here. The kids got to hold candles. They were big on being able to hold fire when they were little. That was super cool. Right. The school band played, or the chorus sang. I can't remember which one it was, and I don't remember the content of the songs. But it really was about gathering as a community and just something to do when it was cold and dark.
Right. Okay, thanks for letting me ask you that question and telling us. Folks, we're 17 minutes left in this meeting. We want to give everybody a chance for a quick last comment, if you'd like to make one. I'm asking, what might a celebration look like, and what should be the town's role? Did you say is there anybody else online? Okay, we're going to go, I can't remember your name, to you, and then to you, and then to the back, and then to you, and anybody else who wants to make it quick. We're going to try to keep these last comments brief.
Sorry, I'll be fast and keep my adrenaline under control this time. For how it might look, I think we've spent an hour and a half discussing and kind of describing the solstice celebration that already exists, because it's like light up penguins and making s'mores on the fire, so you get to play with fire. My kids like that too. And it's got a lot of lights, and everyone's there to celebrate winter and make s'mores and meet up and all that good stuff. And the town's role, I feel, should be secular, and it's a Christmas tree. It's not a holiday tree.
So on the what should the town's role be, I am actually kind of sad that the chamber isn't represented here tonight. I know it's because they had another event, which is unfortunate, because you mentioned Clamfest, and Clamfest is not the town. Clamfest is actually the chamber, and the town supports Clamfest and this in that way. And I have to agree. I think that a winter festival that lasted for 2 months would be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm a big dreamer. Those of you in the room that know me know that's a fact. And I think that that could be supported more by the organizations in town. For example, the chamber. I also dream, and I'm just going to get on my soapbox for a moment. We'll have people here speak to me later if you're interested. I dream of an organization that is chamber-like, that is job is to support the nonprofits in town instead of the chamber, which is job is to support the businesses in town. And so it's a great opportunity to continue to have fundraising opportunities for nonprofits and to get the name and the recognition out that they deserve. It's a chance for small businesses to participate. And I really think that we have a chance to grow it into something a little bigger and different, but the town can't do that. And I do not want to expect that of the town and my tax dollars for that. I feel like that's a different place. So under the what should the town's role be? I think it should be to support.
Okay, thanks for speaking up. Tell us your name and what street you're on and what you think.
My name is Jen, and I live on West Main, but I'm actually here as a member of the Program Advisory Committee. We're one of the many volunteer resident committees in town, and our role is to advise YCS on the programming and events. And we, as a committee, got together and thought hard about this and developed a statement that I wanted to read. So that is what I'm reading. As the Program Advisory Committee, our charge is to advise Yarmouth Community Services on the many offerings it provides for our community. Our committee members are residents with diverse perspectives and experiences who represent the various generations of our town, from young parents to seasoned grandparents. As a resident advisory committee, we view YCS as a connector and a bridge builder. Its role is to offer events, programs, and services that create opportunities for connection for all people living in our community and to help strengthen our ties to one another and to this very special town where we all live. These programs are designed to be warm, welcoming, and inclusive and to help foster a sense of belonging for people of all ages from all backgrounds, races, ethnicities, countries, and religions. For more than 40 years, YCS has provided a winter celebration on the town green that aims to bring the community together with music, light, and food during the darkest, coldest time of the year. Historically, this event recognizes and reflected the single religious tradition of Christmas and failed to recognize other religious faiths or denominations. In doing so, the event excluded many members of our community. YCS's efforts in recent years to offer a more inclusive winter celebration has been welcomed by some and sharply criticized by others. Unfortunately, this attempt to be more inclusive has created division and not connection. We recognize that change doesn't always land well. As traditions evolve, many people feel a sense of loss. However, we strongly believe that YCS has a unique opportunity to provide a winter event for people of all religious backgrounds and traditions, and that these efforts will support YCS's important mission to create opportunities for connection where all members of the community feel included and welcomed. As a community in all branches of our government, we are working hard to ensure that Yarmouth is a welcoming and inclusive place for all our residents. Our town's recently drafted comprehensive plan highlights this priority, stating that its first goal is to strengthen our inclusive, welcoming, and connected community. We see YCS's work to evolve this winter event to be an extension of this commitment to building an inclusive and welcome community at a time when the national and global arenas are ever more polarizing. The role of YCS to build connections as a small community and strengthen our ties to one another has never been more important.
Great, thank you for reading that. I want to ask you a simple question. It's probably not a simple answer, or maybe it's not simple, but is your program advisory committee, and if you can't speak for the committee, that's fine. Do you think the committee is saying include all religious symbolism or no religious symbolism? Which of those two is more inclusive? You've said that you want activities that are inclusive, but on that point, which is inclusive? Including all or none?
I can't speak for six
okay.
other members of the committee, but it sounds like you've heard a lot of that tonight, and people, and Betsy just named a number of things.
We've heard both
happening
tonight.
Yeah, and I apologize that I was late. I don't know. There are a couple other members of the committee that could sound in on
Okay,
it,
fair enough.
But sorry.
I'm not asking you to make stuff up or act on behalf of the committee if they have not addressed that question. But to me, that's an important question that the town has to wrestle with. I think that there, for the most part, people want the celebration to be welcoming to all people. But it's not clear to me whether welcoming to all means including all religious symbolism or just sidestepping and having no religious symbolism and make it about, the natural season. I guess I'm leaning more towards, I think most of you in the room would be more favorable towards a town-supported celebration that had no religious symbolism at all. But I don't think that's a unanimous opinion in this room. Let's take some other last comments, and I'm always looking for new comments, brief comments, and we're going to have to wrap it up here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Dave Craig, Madison Drive. I think you posed exactly the right question based on what you heard, and I don't think there's any way to effectively and fairly include all religions. That's an impossible task. You're never going to get it right. There are religions that don't have holidays that coincide with that season too. We have religions that have, Ramadan moves forward a month every year. I mean, it's just not going to work. So let's err on the side of doing something that everyone can get on board with and have a great winter celebration.
Thanks for being so clear about that.
Hi, Karen again. So I want to pick up on a theme that I'm hearing that started with Miriam, and I also picked it up from Music Krista. And some other people in the room. And that is the idea of having something that's like a mini festival, the spirit of the Clam Festival, that's not just on the town green, but maybe it's all of Main Street. Maybe it's all lit up and it's bright. And there's different stations and there's things happening and there's a schedule and there's going to be a sing-along in front of this building here and the library's going to have that. And maybe we've got s'mores on the lawn of Gather. And maybe there's some nonprofits that are selling hot chocolate. And maybe some of the churches that are on Main Street, maybe one of them has a Santa Claus, maybe another one has a tree lighting, but that's their contribution to a community event. And either YCS or a nonprofit organization or chamber is kind of the host that creates the infrastructure for all of this to happen, but doesn't do anything about a particular holiday, but creates these opportunities.
Okay, thanks for being so clear about that.
I just want to build off of another theme I'm hearing and appreciate you summarizing that so beautifully. I feel like so much of what we started with on the board is not about what this event looks like, but about how it feels. And I think even in thinking about, and Peter, I think it was really important to hear from you, and I know you represent the feelings of many people who are not at the meeting today. When I think about tradition, I really connected to what you were saying because I'm someone who also has a lot of tradition. That's a big part of my family life and my, important values to me. And when I think about what is at the center of that, it's the feelings. It is not necessarily the specific events or actions. So I'm wondering if there's a way, and I don't have a suggestion, Craig, I know you're asking for specifics here, but I'm wondering if there's a way to really center the conversation moving forward, not today necessarily, but in the future around what's the tradition of feeling that we want to make sure this event continues to aspire to, that is not necessarily linked to a specific event or action, but rather is about a community feeling.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these are about feelings, and the statement from the program committee is a lot about a feeling. Yeah, thanks for saying that. Anybody else want to, we got a couple on the line, and we're going to go to you, please.
Thanks. First of all, let me just clarify when I was talking about the states and the capital, I wasn't really supporting the idea of a holiday tree. I just wanted to point out as far as the separation of state. And anyways, I love the idea of like some kind of festival of lights, and I think it would be really cool to, have the whole Main Street lit up. I know I came from Annapolis, Maryland, and if you know Annapolis, you know it's an historic downtown. And what they do there is they have the JCs, a volunteer organization, actually offer to hang lights in greens and all the different businesses where, you know, the labor is free. A lot of it is donated, but it gives kind of a cohesive look to a town. Also, just the idea of, you know, residents and people that would like to decorate their own houses, whether it be with a Star of David, whether it be with a Christmas tree, whatever tradition that they want to celebrate, that they can do it on their own property. But it would be fun to do like a Christmas stroll or something to kick off the lighting and have different entertainers. And again, that's where we could celebrate some diversity, you know, if there were different types of choral groups and things like that, that, you know, were up and down Main Street. I think that, you know, just a suggestion anyways.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen so you can, we'll go back to you. Hold on just a second. Okay, I wanted to get that. Let me just share. I've just been making some notes, and we are down to the final hours here. We have a couple people. Yeah, let's take a brief comment from each of those and from anybody else in the room, and then we're going to have to adjourn the meeting. Let's take.
Let's hear from Sarah Norsbury first. She has not commented yet. And then we can go to Carrie if we have time. Does that sound great? Sarah, do you want to unmute?
I'm unmuted. My COVIDness, you do not want to see my face tonight, so you're just going to have my voice. So, and I apologize for that, the way it probably sounds. I really, I agree with the piece around we can't be inclusive of everyone when we think about our spirituality, right, and our religious traditions. I wonder about something like an art show, something about where people can bring different representations of what Yarmouth is like, maybe something centering both the coastal animals, right, our birds, wildlife, something that we highlight, something winter that already is part of our community and connecting us in a way that we can come together and share some of our creative energies with each other in a different way than thinking about our spirituality. And that might generate some of our feelings of community and togetherness. And thank you for the conversation.
Great, thank you very much. And Carrie, we already heard from you, but if you have a brief last comment, we want to hear it.
Sure, super quick. I love the idea of some sort of a day or two festival. I think that's an awesome idea, and I would suggest looking to Kennebunk has it's called Christmas Prelude. We could have a different name, but Christmas Prelude is something that's been going on in Kennebunk for years and years and years that my family has attended a bunch of times, and it's super fun. Lots of activities going on. And another place that has a really cool one is in Houston. It's called Lights in the Heights, which is a neighborhood, and it's a full huge big deal lighting up your houses. And so just looking to other communities that, we don't need to totally reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of places that have super cool stuff that has been going on for a long time. That's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Last comment from Peter, and then we'll go back to, I can't remember your name. Thank you.
Yeah, it sort of seems to me like what everybody is trying to accomplish, we already have with the Christmas tree celebration. And it was nice hearing from Carrie because I remember going down there with the kids and having so many people that gathered around and sang songs, and they had the band there. There was a ton of spirit, and it was a really nice evening in the community here. And we have that already with the Christmas tree lighting. And I think that if people want to have another tradition that they want to start, that's fantastic. But I don't think they should necessarily do away with one that we've had here in town, that people in this town that have lived here for a long time have been enjoying. I don't think it's our right to just to give it up.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that last word. Hold on a second. We'll get there.
I was actually I don't know the answer to this. I was just wondering if there were any other Christmas tree lightings in Yarmouth at any of the churches, or if any churches had looked into doing Christmas tree lightings. Because it might be nice, just because there isn't a lot of information that comes out to everybody, that it would be nice to let the community know what they were doing in case other people wanted to join, to make sure that everybody knew if there were religious events going on, to make sure that people were aware of them.
Okay, thanks for speaking up. We're going to give you the last word in just a minute, Karen. I'm giving you a heads up. First, we're going to hear from these two, because I know you each want to make a last comment.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate what I started with, which is that it doesn't have to be an or. It can be an and.
Okay.
And I think that is just really important. And again, it feels, I know as a Jewish person, I'm supposed to have a different answer, or I know that's not literally what I mean, but I am hearing what you're saying, and this tradition is very important. The tradition can be kept while adding or creating something new as well.
Okay. And, not an or, please.
I just wanted to push back a little on what Peter said about everyone enjoying it, because I wanted to point out that someone in this room had specifically said they did not enjoy the tree lighting and that it made them feel bad. And so I want to just say that how you're feeling excluded about the tree lighting going away is how other people in the community are telling you they feel about the tree lighting existing as it is now.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. But you've said what you had to say.
I'm not speaking.
You're just pointing out that she's pointing out that there are people in the room who expressed that, yeah, they wouldn't be able to go. They wouldn't feel included. Right. Yep. I understand your view on that's clear and it's helpful. You want to speak up?
I like the idea of maybe like the individual places to go for. I understand the spirit behind that, of up and down Main Street, et cetera. I'm wondering if it wouldn't have the same feeling, and we're big on feeling and big on community, because then everyone's not all in one spot, and that's what was nice about the event. Everyone's together, everyone's singing, everyone's in one spot, and we would lose that possibly. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be the same if we had things, up and down Main Street. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, hey, let's think of that. Also, one other thing, huge difference. We would never say separation of tradition and state. That sounds weird, but to a lot of us, it's tradition. It's not religion.
Right. I understand. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up. You want to clarify something I wrote?
I just want to make sure that captured somewhere truly the environmental impact of that oversized tree.
I have it.
And
yes.
the economic
And
impact.
we'll
Great.
combine everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for mentioning that. Folks, it's time to adjourn the meeting. I'm going to give Karen the mic to say a last word on my behalf. Thanks for coming and participating and being so respectful and trying to understand where each other's coming from. I think you've done great. It's been a very enjoyable evening from my perspective.
Mine's on. This is on. Sean's
Oh,
got
you
me
got a
covered.
mic.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thank you to everybody who made the effort to join here in person and to tune in online. We did have a caller at one point, but I think we lost them. But thank you very much. This is not an easy conversation to have. We're very lucky to have had Craig and Megan here to help facilitate the conversation. As you can see, the spectrum of opinion, whether it be culture, religion, tradition, and everything, is something that we will do our best to provide. I would love to invite you to email me if it's something that you would like to be part of a next winter iteration, whatever that might be. Who knows? This is why we're doing it now, so that it gives us a couple months to jump ahead of it and provide that community feeling for this town. We all have great volunteerism. We have great connection. But there is definitely a diverse chasm, if you will, where we do hear that some people don't feel included. So I'm glad we were able to get this out into the public airs. Please get involved when the community conversation comes around. Here in person, we are passing out an opportunity to provide more comments now that you've had a chance to see the board that was created, hear the conversations and the comments today. There is an opportunity for the survey, which was just uploaded here online for people at home. It will also be available on the town website. If you don't have a chance to get it now, you'll be able to link via the town website, the YCS website, and a lot of the social media outlets out there. So we look forward to continuing this process. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking a gorgeous barbecue night away from your family, or ice cream social, or whatever it may have been. And thank you to Craig and Megan again for joining and prepping for this. We appreciate it.